Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And thanks again to Bull Country Compost and Hayseed Hank for sponsoring our show each and every week. So, again, more questions that we have had. Pastor Chuck from Compassion Church, previously High Mill Church of the Resurrection. Pastor Chuck has been my pastor for, oh my goodness, since 1985. Bless his heart. We've grown old together, but we're really not old. Pastor Chuck has been such a blessing to me. But the other day he came into the store and he had pieces of an arborvitae, and they had these little things on it. And he said, "I don't know what it is. I'd like to try to start this arborvitae again," because his dad had purchased it for him, gave it to him as a gift, and it was dying, so he was having it cut down, but he brought me pieces of it so that we can try to take cuttings for him. And his tree had bagworm. And if you have arborvitae, because they are very, very susceptible to this, if you have and arborvitae, it also will affect spruce and some other evergreens as well, but those two are very notorious for getting this insect, that it looks like it has little teardrops hanging on it, and it looks like it is dried up leaves or needles from that tree. And the tree is dying, you need to act fast. It is bagworm, and bagworm, it is exactly what you think. It does look like dead needles or leaves from the tree, and that's what they use. They make a cocoon around themselves until the worm that's inside the little bag that they have made becomes a moth and then flies away. In that time frame of that all happening, they continue to eat more and more of your tree, and you will lose them very, very quickly. They die very fast. So you need to really be on the lookout, especially if you've ever had this in the past. A lot of times they can overwinter and be right back in the same area. So BT is the product that we use because of it being an organic product. And it was sort of funny after Pastor Chuck came in with his, I thought, we have an arborvitae up on the east side of the property, and it's not looking very good. And I haven't taken the time, been busy, haven't taken the time to go, investigate and see what was going on. But when I saw what was going on with his arborvitae, that triggered, and it made me go look. And sure enough, our tree had bagworm also. So I stretched out the hose, put a hose and sprayer on, put the BT concentrate in that hose and sprayer, and I sprayed down our tree. I sprayed the arborvitae that was next to it also, that I saw a few little bags on, but the tree still looked very, very good and very healthy. And that's what you need to do, especially if you have trees that are next to each other and one of them have it, that definitely is going to spread. So you want to spray the ones beside it as well. I would spray any arborvitae that is in the area at all with the product, and you will have very good success. There are chemicals that you can use. You can do a drench with a bonide chemical that does work also. In my case, of course, y'all know I wouldn't do that, but also right beside our arborvitae, we have squashes planted. So we definitely didn't want to do it around ours because of the squash. But also, I always fear that the chemical that you drench the root system with that will kill them also can get into the soil. And you have to think about your well. And our well actually also is very, very close to where these trees are. Now, even if I didn't have squash and I didn't have my well close, I still wouldn't have used the chemical. But just for those that, I haven't convinced you yet to be completely organic, there are chemical controls that do work very well also. The BT, usually you will need 2 sprays. and sometimes a third if it's terribly aggressive and they have taken over a large area. But usually 2 sprays will get you through about a week apart, and you should be okay with that, and everything should be good. But just so you know, to be really watching for the bagworm, they are very aggressive at this time of the year, and they will kill an evergreen very, very quickly. They also will attack a few other things. The weeping beech tree is also very susceptible to them. I have maintained a property in the past that had the weeping burgundy beech, and they got it's just terrible. They got the bagworm. So you can get it on other trees, not just evergreens. There are deciduous trees that can get it also. It's a very aggressive insect, so you want to make sure that you act on it quickly when you do see any of that, and keep your eye out for that at this time of the year. Lots of insect issues we're having this week. The next one, Vicky was having, actually her neighbor had called. Vicky was out of town. Her neighbor called and said, your tree is losing leaves all over my driveway. And she said, well, I'm not really sure why that is, but, let me get my sister to go down and take a look at my tree. So I went down, and sure enough, she has a webworm on her locust trees. And locust trees are susceptible to this. It is not a very difficult insect to control. Again, you can do it chemically with a drench. You can also do it organically with BT, Captain Jack's, or orchard spray. So you can put it again in that hose and sprayer. If your hose is close by, spray the entire canopy of the tree, and that's going to control it for you. Also, you could put it in a pump-up sprayer and spray it that way. Locust trees can get pretty big, so you might need to do the hose end. It will reach 25 feet, but most of the pump-up sprayers that will hold, a couple gallons will usually reach that 25-foot mark as well. But saturate all of the canopy. That's going to saturate all of the insects, and they will die, and everything will be fine. But if you don't, the tree will lose a lot of leaves. It's not going to kill the tree, but it can really, really stress it. So my suggestion is, if you do notice, and I've noticed locust trees since her call earlier in the week, other locust trees have this webworm this year also. So if you do have locust trees, you want to keep your eye out for them. The variety that she had was the Skyline honey locust. So you really want to keep an eye out for that, and really watch. You don't want the whole tree to defoliate before you act on it, because then no leaves, no photosynthesis, which could end up killing your tree over time. So you want to make sure that you act on that. So the BT, Captain Jack's, or orchard spray. The next issue that someone had was Derek and Emily. They had apple scab disease on their apple trees. And again, this is where you're going to want to use the orchard spray. A lot of people that have the apple scab disease, it is a disease that will carry on year after year. And so if you notice that you have apple scab disease on any of your apple trees or your crab apple trees, they both will get it. Ornamental crab apple trees as well as fruit-bearing apple trees. You want to make sure that in the future you do things to prevent. So this year, I had told Derek and Emily, you want to go ahead and get it sprayed now, and probably one more time until harvest. But then next year, early in the spring, before there are any leaves, any flower out, anything like that, you want to make sure that you spray the tree, all of the branches, all of the trunk, and let it really run down that. So if there's any of that spore on the branching, you kill it then. Then after you have full leaf, flower is all gone, spray it again. And then once you have fruit formation starting, spray another time. And that's really going to help with that apple scab disease. Also, something that you might not know, if you have junipers in the area, junipers are a carrier of the apple scab disease, but you'll never see a sign of the disease on the junipers, but they will be a carrier. So a lot of times, not always, but you might find a juniper in the area that was the carrier. So if you can get rid of it, you might be able to get rid of the apple scab disease and not have that issue in the future. So just to let you know of a few things that we have at the store that's new. Of course, we are starting new crops all the time. So the new lettuce for the cooler season that will be approaching us before too long is ready. Some of you have great shaded areas that you can do lettuce right now in the heat of the summer. So we do have great new lettuce starts. We have started kale and Swiss chard. We've started actually zucchini and summer squash. They're very short crops. So you really have time to go ahead and start another zucchini plant or another summer squash plant because of the speed of them. And then also all of those cold crops, like I said, the kale, the Swiss chard, broccoli even. If you have a high tunnel or you want to do a little low tunnel, do some type of cold protection, you can have these products, harvest of these cold crops well into December and sometimes even January. There is nothing like a tiny little cold frame to use and to really be able to utilize a lot of these vegetables that you grow yourself. Now, if you don't know how to make a high tunnel or some type of a little cold frame, old sliding glass doors leaned up against the south side of your house will work very well. If you have questions about how to do these kind of things inexpensively so that you can extend your harvest into the late into the season, into the fall, or even into the winter, stop by. We would love to give you some tips on how to do these things. Or you can message us again on Facebook at Anthony Petitti Organic Greenhouse. It's usually best for us to explain how to do these things. I'm sort of a visual person, so I'm like showing you with my hand gestures and how to put it up and all those kind of things. So if you want to come over at 5828 Columbus Road, right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway, we will give you all the tips that you need to get started in doing some type of a structure so that you will be able to grow vegetables late into the season. Well, here we are at the end of another show. Thank you all so much for getting up early. Come on over to the store today. Take advantage of the blueberries we have, the elderberries we have, the new lettuce starts, the other new vegetable starts. Hopefully, you get over to the store before they're sold out. Remember, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll catch you next week. Have a blessed one.